All right, hello. And I want to just start off with, before we talk about perimeter and area, saying to the sub, thank you for being there. And all my students, you better be treating this sub better than you treat me. We talked about that before. And in the past, I've gotten great reports for the sub for all of my classes. So I want to hear that again tomorrow. And with that said, sub, if there's one or two people, hopefully there won't be any, but sometimes there might be one or two, you write their name down and I will take care of them. And I don't want to have to do that, guys. You know I don't like to do that, but I will, and it won't be pretty. All right, so now I think everybody's going to sit up and listen with their pencils and have your correcting pen sitting there too, because we might use it a little bit. And the quicker we get this done, the quicker you can start on your homework and have it done before you leave today. All right, so let's take a look at your notes, and it's on a piece of, looks like notebook or graph paper, and it is. All right, and you first of all, you see a little square drawn, and it says this is a unit square. All sides measure 1 unit. If we don't know what the measure is, okay, like we didn't on the Dandy Candy problem, then we can just say it's a unit. All right, so sometimes we're going to give it measure. For this, we're not until we get down to our example problem. But to start out, we want to, my directions are to you first, draw a rectangle that has an area of 10 square units, okay? So I'm going to let you go on that, and sub, you can pause the video, give them about a minute to do that. Shouldn't take them that long, but it can be 10 square units any way you want to arrange it as long as it looks like a rectangle when you're done. Okay, so hit pause. And now that we're back, here's some ideas, or this is some possibilities of what you could draw. You could have drawn. You might have done a width of 2 units and a length of 5 units. Because inside there, if we've got 2 units this way and we've got 5 units this way, then inside here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 unit squares. Okay, so there are 10 squares in here, and when we do the area, you guys know that we can count them by saying I've got 2 rows and 5 columns. So I can say 2 units times 5 units is equal to 10, but we're also taking units times units. And you guys know if you do u times u, that's u to the 2nd power. And we also call that units squared. And that's why we call it squared, because it's the area, tells you how many of these squares inside there. Some of you also may have done a 1 by 10. There's 5, 10. So that would be 1 unit this way and 10 units this way. And again, 1 unit times 10 units is equal to 10 units squared. You may have also done it 5 this way and 2 this way. And same thing, 5 units times 10 units, or times 2 units is 10 units squared. You may have done this one vertically, but you should have one of these pictures. All right, so now we want to look at what the perimeter is of these rectangles. Well, when I look, this is area. All of these are area. Okay, so now I want to look at perimeter. When I look at perimeter, and you've got a picture of a rectangle on your paper that says area inside it, so what's inside is the area, and the outer rim I've got written around it, perimeter, perimeter, perimeter. Okay, so what is perimeter? Well, we know that we have to add up all the sides, because we did that on our Dandy, well, we didn't do it on the Dandy Candies, but you guys know that from our lab that we did yesterday, doing the perimeter of a rectangle that you have for homework. Okay, and you had to turn that in. Sub, don't forget to collect their homework assignment, and I'm going to check that. But perimeter, we're going to add up all the sides. So when I look at this first one, that's going to be 2 here and 2 here, and 5 units here and 5 units here. So that's going to be 2 units plus 2 units plus 5 units plus 5 units. So altogether, 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 10 here. That's going to be 14 units, not units squared. We're adding them so we keep the same unit. Okay? So when we do the perimeter, we add up all the sides. We also want to look at a formula for perimeter. Well, if we notice here, and this was on your homework last night, we have 2 of these, and we have 2 of these. So what I could have done is just added the length and the width, okay? If I add them together, I could say 2 units plus 5 units, and then I can double it. Because when I double it, 2u plus 5u is 10u. Got to do order of operations. And then when I multiply that by 2, I get 20. Wait a minute, what did I do here? I did something wrong. Oh, that's 7, not 10. I'm multiplying. Wow. Okay. So 2 units plus 5 units is 2 times 7 units. And that's going to be 14 units, which is what I got up here. Okay, so we can look at this and say, if I've got a length and a width, okay, and we're just going to look at your, we'll look at this one, okay. For our perimeter, we can say that's 2, in parentheses, length plus width, okay. So 2 times the length plus the width is a way to get perimeter. You could also say, we can do it, we could say that that is length plus width plus width. You can do it that way too and just add them all up like I did right here. Width, length. Or you can do this algebraic formula, and that's the formula you'll see on your formula sheet. Okay, so you can do either way. That's fine with me. For area, notice that I've got the length times the width. Okay, so when you're doing the formula for area, and hopefully you've written this down, and you should be copying all this down. All right, so for area, that's going to be the length, 5u, times the width, 2u, or the length, 10u, times the width, 1u, or whatever the size of the rectangle is. But all you're doing is saying length, and I'm using a cursive L, so because it looks like a 1 if I make it regular. So its area is length times width. The number of rows divided by, or times the number of columns. Okay, and that will count up all of the squares in there. So please make sure you've got this written on your paper along with all of these, or your rectangle, whichever one you did. You don't have to do them all. And then for perimeter, have this written down as well, and have the formula for perimeter. Now, if you did your rectangle this way, your perimeter is going to be a little different, okay? So for the perimeter of this one, if I was to do the perimeter of this one here, I would say 1 unit plus 1 unit plus 10 units plus 10 units, which would be 22 units. Or I could have done 10 plus 1 is 11 times 2 is 22 units. Notice that my perimeter for this figure is different than my perimeter for this figure. Okay, this one's only 14 units all the way around. This one's 22 all the way around. That makes a difference. All right, so the area and the perimeter could be different, and we looked at that when we looked at the Dandy Candies problem. All right, so make sure you've got this formula for perimeter and this formula for area written down, and that you notice that these two perimeters, this one here and this perimeter here, are different, but their areas are the same. All right, so let's go down to one example problem, and then I'll let you get started. We're going to look at this irregular figure. Okay, now this irregular figure is on the graph, all right? And I know you can count the boxes, but on your assignment that you have to do, there are no boxes, but I want you to visually see them so you can understand what area means. Area means how many of these squares lay flat in this particular irregular rectangular figure. Okay, so when we look at this, what I would do is split it up into 2 rectangles, okay, and you could make a line. Let's just go ahead and do a line down this way. Some people might want to do a line that way, but we're just going to do our little line this way. And we'll look at this square, and we'll look at this square. So we're going to find the area of this square and find the area of this square. And then we also have to do perimeter. Let's do perimeter first, because when you do perimeter, you got to add up all the sides. And notice we've got a 5-foot side, we've got another 5-foot side. This side we don't know. This is 7 feet, and this is 4 feet, and this side we don't know. As soon as we know this side right here and this side right here, then we can add up all the sides. Now, you've got the grid here, so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, so we have, I know I've got 7 boxes this way. Well, if you come over here, this from here to here is the same distance as from here to here. So when you look at your boxes, you can count there's 5. But if there's no graph paper, you're going to have to come over here and look and say, well, this side has to be the same as this side, so this is 5 feet. So if this is 5 feet, and this whole side of this rectangle is 7 feet, then if I take away the 5 that represent from here to here, okay, these 5, and I take that away, then I'm left with these 2 right up here. So this has to be 2 units. Okay, then if I'm looking at this side, I know from here to here is 5 units, and I know from here to here is 4 units. So now I have to add those together and say this whole side is 9 units. Okay? So there's a little finagling you have to do there. It's easy to see here because all you have to do is count the boxes, but realize on your homework it won't be. So let's do perimeter first. So I'm going to start with this, and I got to make sure, oh, and it's not units, I'm sorry, it's feet. Okay, these are supposed to be feet because it's all labeled feet. So I'm going to start here with the 2, and you got to add up all the sides. This is not a side, okay? This right here was just to help me look at it. So take that away. Just the outside all the way around, kind of the way this classroom is set up. All right, so if I do that, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to check that off. I got 2 feet plus 4 feet. And I'm just going to put an F, plus 7 feet, plus 9 feet, plus 5 feet, plus 5 feet. And if I check them all off, then I know I haven't repeated anything. It just makes it easier. And now when I add these up, I've got 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 7 is 13, plus 9 is 22, plus 10 here makes 32. So that should be 32, whoops, a 32-foot perimeter. Make sure you've written down this because you have to do one like this for an assignment. All right, so now we're going to look at the area, okay? And we have 2 rectangles. I'm going to put this back to help us see that I've got a rectangle here and a rectangle here. So I'm going to, this area right here, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to call it area 1, and I'm going to call this area 2. So I need to take area 1, and I'm going to add it to area 2. Write that down right now. And sub, if I'm going too fast and you need them to pause it, we can pause it. Okay, so my area of my first one, I'm going to do 5 feet by 5 feet, length and width. Okay, so it goes 5 here, and it's 5 here. You can look down here. So we're going to go 5 feet times 5 feet, plus area 2 is 4 feet by 7 feet. 4 feet times 7 feet. So that'll tell us there's 25 boxes here, 25 square feet, feet times feet, plus 28 squares here. Okay, and when I add those up, 25 and 28 is 53 square feet. All right, so you can now do your assignment. You'll get that passed out. Please work on it. Don't get your name written down by the sub. Have a great day.